Speaking of nice performers, there's a guy named Warren Buffett who's got a pretty good track record, is my understanding, as an investor.
He's done fine.
And his company, Berkshire Hathaway, just reported its third quarter holdings. And boy, does Buffett or someone over at Berkshire really like banks. Guys, let me just give you the 10 holdings quickly and see if you notice a theme here. Apple, this is the biggest holding. Then we've got Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Coke, Kraft Heinz, American Express, U.S. Bancorp, Moody's, Goldman Sachs, and J.P. Morgan Chase. 5 of the 10 are banks.
You know, you look at this portfolio and you say a bunch of banks and some bunch of consumer staple-ish stocks. It doesn't seem to be a very exciting portfolio.
The curmudgeonly trader. There you go again.
But you know, Mr. Buffett does know what he's doing. You know, when I think of Buffett, I think of kind of that folksy guy who likes sees candy kind of businesses, old economy types of businesses. But we forget he is a student of financials, whether it be insurance or financial services or the big banks. You'll remember long ago he was actually interim chairman of Salomon Brothers, and subsequent in various kind of financial crises, he's helped bail out more than one large bank. So he understands these companies where I will say I tend to not, because they seem like a black box to me, but he clearly does. And I think that makes him comfortable investing, big portions of his portfolio, especially in this type of environment where interest rates are going to start to rise. And I think he probably, less regulation. He sees some good stuff on the horizon, and knowing what he knows about how these banks run, he's comfortable.
Yeah. So does this get you more interested in banks, Ron?
No.
Yeah, I mean, like Warren Buffett has insights into, like Ron was saying, the financial world from his 60 years of investing in all types of businesses. He also has the Todd and Ted partnership helping him out in the investing landscape as well. So, but you look through his portfolio, you do see companies like the airline investments they've made over the last year or so, combined with a lot of financials. The financial investment doesn't really surprise me. Ron mentioned the rising interest rates. They are getting from a scale perspective, from a competitive position, the largest banks continue to kind of widen those moats. Frankly, Mr. Buffett is not one that's going to pay 10 times revenues per se for, software as a service companies. And he has a lot of capital to put to work. They have $100 billion of cash on the balance sheet, but they generate so much cash from their operating businesses to be able to invest. So making investments like this, including Oracle, which they bought last quarter as well too. So, these are the kind of investments you expect to see from Berkshire Hathaway, and given the size of the organization and the amount of capital they generate, and just their traditional valuation bent and thinking, that these don't really surprise me from these investments. He knows them well.
Yeah, and it is good to see the Ted and Todd influence. I think Buffett was notorious for staying away from tech, and he said it was because he couldn't understand it. It's not really about not understanding. It's about not being able to predict the future, which I completely understand. But it's nice to at least see him in consumer electronics like Apple, Oracle, a business where either he or Ted or Todd can understand. We saw recent investments in fintech, financial technology companies, which good to see, because clearly that's going to be a big place to put capital for the future. So I like to see some of that in addition to kind of the old Kraft, Coke, Amex kind of stocks that he's owned forever.
Yeah, and by the way, let's not forget he's also buying his own stock.
That's great.
I mean, they bought almost $1 billion worth of Berkshire Hathaway stock over the last quarter. I mean, that's significant, because he doesn't really go out there and aggressively buy those stocks. And he said changed his methodology for thinking about when to buy that stock from a price to book value target to when we think the stock is undervalued, and they bought a bunch last quarter.
Yeah, well, I will be curious to see if he starts buying even more Apple, because for perspective here, Apple, his largest position by far, almost $57 billion worth of Apple stock. Bank of America around $25 billion, Wells Fargo $23 billion. So Apple far and away.
I would imagine with the Apple weakness that we've seen lately, he is in in the market buying more. That's just a guess. I don't think he gets hung up as much as traditional Wall Street does on kind of these kind of quarter-to-quarter iPhone unit sales numbers. I think he's thinking longer term about what Apple will do in terms of generating cash flow and buying back stock over the next 5 or 10 years. So I would imagine he's increasing his position on this weakness.
So if I'm an investor and I hear about these 10 holdings and I'm like, you know what? Buffett's had an incredible track record, one of the most successful public market investors in history. Why not just mimic this portfolio? Why not just go out and buy these 10 stocks?
I think you would be better off buying Berkshire Hathaway almost than
you could mimic these stocks, but then what? Because he's constantly changing the portfolio, adding to other companies. But more important, you're getting all the operating businesses of Berkshire Hathaway, which are generating, all those millions and millions, billions of dollars of cash flow. The Geico, generating the float capital, which he then can invest in stocks. So if just buying these publicly traded companies, you would be, you would not be getting all those operating businesses as well.
No, I think if you want to go investing in some of these businesses, they can be fine investments. But considering he was buying his own stock and he's pretty particular about when they buy that stock, I think Berkshire Hathaway is one of my largest personal positions.
Me too.
And I just think that's probably continuing. I think the stock is undervalued now. So if you wanted to put your money behind Mr. Buffett and that team, especially with the insurance operations that Ron mentioned and the operating businesses, buy Berkshire Hathaway.